The federal government's proposed GST holiday is before MPs in the House of Commons at this very moment, with the Liberals pushing to rush it through Parliament in time for a 2-month tax break to start on December 14th. The feds want to take the GST off a suite of items, including everything from prepared foods to restaurant meals, snacks, beer, wine, cider, and some mixed drinks. You've got kids' clothes, car seats, and diapers, as well as toys, books, and even Christmas trees. On the Hill for us tonight following those developments is CTV's Rachel Aiello. Hi, Rachel. Good to see you. Let's sort of break it down in layman's terms. Is this thing getting through by the end of the day?
Yeah, Vassy. So I've just got some new information I can share with our viewers. Right now, we are looking like it's going to be very late into the evening before this GST bill passes. Where we are right now, MPs are debating a programming motion, a motion that will essentially fast-track the bill once it actually comes up for consideration. That debate on this programming motion is expected to go until around 8 p.m. It could end earlier, but it will not last past 8 p.m. Then there'd be 30 minutes of bells, the votes needed to dispose of the motion, and then the bill comes up. And then MPs are going to be considering this GST bill under the terms of the motion. Current estimate is that could be around 75 minutes or so. Right now, we're looking at around 11 p.m.-ish for this to all wrap up.
It's going to be a long night for you, primarily. We're looking to the side of the screen now at MPs who are also debating, as you mentioned, so it'll be a late night for them as well. I don't think there's, are you expecting any surprises, though, or is this thing going ahead with the support of the NDP?
Yeah, it seems pretty certain everyone's language today, Vassy, is that this will pass today because the NDP have said they'll get behind it. And that is only because the government kind of caved and split their affordability announcement into two, moving forward with this GST piece of it now. Now the government's saying this is because the deadline to get the GST piece was December. They had a tight timeline to turn it around, whereas the rebate checks that they've now kind of put on pause, they had until April to get out. So they're still thinking they're going to do that, but on a later timeline with some questions right now about what that would actually look like. So as of now, we are expecting that this GST bill will pass this evening. All eyes, as you said, are going to be on the House of Commons over the next couple hours, especially those of the procedural nerds like me.
And I'll ask you about the checks in a second, because I think that's what a lot of our viewers are also interested in. But when it comes to where the vote will, along which lines it'll go down, we played a clip earlier from Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. It's clear that they will not vote in favor. The NDP will vote in favor. What do we know about each party's position and also the bloc?
Yeah, that's right. So the NDP are going to back this. Conservatives won't. Poilievre today was calling it irresponsible and inflationary. I'm really going to be interested to see where the bloc go. We heard from Yves-François Blanchet yesterday saying that his caucus hadn't heard from anyone that was behind this, saying it was essentially the Prime Minister trying to buy votes. The other element here, Vassy, let's remember that the bloc have said that they would be voting non-confidence in the government going forward. This is a spending bill. The government is trying to pass money. So if the bloc are going to make good on their broken ultimatum to the Liberals and vote non-confidence, we could see them voting against this measure later tonight.
And back to those checks, because that is something the bloc has been particularly outspoken on. So has the NDP, essentially saying, you're aiming them to these $250 checks at Canadians who worked in 2023 but made less than $150,000. Why not seniors? Why not students? Why not people with disabilities? Where are the Liberals leaning in your estimation on that? Will they probably expand who they send these to?
If the government wants to get this ahead ASAP, that seems to me, Vassy, like the most logical path. There's only about 2 full sitting weeks left in the House of Commons, so if the government wants to get this sorted before the new year, they would likely have to find that concession, expand eligibility to get the votes of the bloc and the NDP. Otherwise, they're going to have to look at some creative other ways to get this through, potentially through a bigger bill, like a fall economic update legislation, or they could be looking at watering down or kind of limiting the eligibility. Right now, this workers' benefit is supposed to be going to Canadians who made $150,000 or less last year. There has been some discussion on the Hill today about whether the NDP could potentially get behind this if that threshold was lowered to 70 or 90,000, as is just for workers, without stitching in those seniors and students. Doing so, as you've noted before, would cost potentially mega bucks more. Expanding this $4.7 billion package to include more people would obviously come with a pretty hefty price tag. So these are all the kinds of considerations that the government is making right now. But today, we didn't actually hear clearly from any members of the federal government about what the next steps on this, just kind of getting signals behind the scenes that they are intent on going ahead with the rebate checks. But if, how, and when are questions that remain.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much. Appreciate that update. That's CTV's Rachel Aiello up on Parliament Hill. She's going to stay there, and we're going to keep our eyes on exactly that.